This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
Now at 6, tornado devastation.
Awful pops and cracks.
Multiple tornadoes with winds over 120 miles an hour hit the Hoosier state.
Blew my kitchen door open, so I was hanging on to it.
Pendleton, the hardest hit. Daylight shines light on all the damage.
I thought, wow, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a house when I gets over with.
She's one of the lucky ones. Her house is still standing. For many others, the recovery begins. And we begin now at 6 o'clock with the threat of more severe weather in much of that very same area.
A severe thunderstorm watch is out north of Indianapolis.
Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory guided you through last night's storms live all evening. So what are we dealing with now, Kevin?
We've got isolated severe storms, but we also have a growing flooding threat in localized areas. Let me show you the flooding threat because these thunderstorms moving over the same area, ground already saturated. And we're going to add more heavy rain. There's your watch. That's in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. Notice then it's been trimmed a little bit. Those of you Benton County down to Warren, Fountain, and into Park no longer included. We've got thunderstorm warning between Crawfordsville and Lafayette crossing 231 and then in Howard County as well. There's your stronger storm. Notice the back edge of this now just coming into Montgomery County and then the torrential rainfall anywhere along this line. You may see 60-mile-per-hour gusts in northern portions of Montgomery County, southern Tippecanoe, torrential rainfall, Frankfort through Rushville to Kokomo. The rainfall rates anywhere from 1 to 2 inches in an hour's period of time. Just issued a flash flood warning. We do expect flooding to begin any time. Could be some major flooding over roadways, so watch this. Don't ever try to drive across a flooded street. In total, I think some spots will see 2 to 4 inches before this ends later this evening.
Now to assessing the damage, the cleanup, and the recovery from last night's multiple tornadoes.
Confirmed tornadoes hit Madison, Grant, Henry, and Miami counties. We have team coverage tonight from some of the hardest hit areas.
Stephanie Wade was in Pendleton last night shortly after the tornado hit. So, Stephanie, what is the biggest difference between last night and now?
Mark and Amanda, it was very difficult to see last night. It was pretty dark out because the power was knocked out really in every direction that you looked. And for some people today, that was still the case. Emergency management crews tell me there are still about 1,500 homes without power tonight. The damage widespread here in Pendleton.
No power. Yeah, our electrical panel, our returns pulled out of the roof.
Very ridiculous. All the damage, yeah.
Massive trees uprooted, tossed across yards, blocking streets.
We were going down into the basement, and my wife watched the tree fall as we were closing the hatch for the cellar.
Falling right on top of cars.
2018 Toyota Sienna, so, yep, gone.
I was walking these streets last night, and in the dark, you could only really see the exposed roots of this tree. But now in the daylight, you can see just how tall it is, probably about 8 feet tall, and how far it extends, toppling over this home. The sound of cleanup as people cut down branches to get to their homes today.
They came through yelling for everyone to leave, that there was gas, and so we booked out.
We had to evacuate last night because of the gas leaks, so we actually had to leave the home, and we came back this morning, and this is what we saw.
A pastor for this church coming home early from vacation, only to find the roof partly torn off.
We got a lot of shingles off. We got 3 sheets of plywood off. Our steeple is down, which is, you know, one of the landmarks of the town.
Only thing left to do.
We'll pick it back up. We'll recover.
Pendleton strong. And the incredible thing here is that no one was seriously hurt. One person had minor injuries, but it's pretty amazing that most everyone was safe here last night. Now, I was speaking with the Madison County Emergency Management Director, and he credits that to their social media efforts, getting the word out, and in part to their electronic alert system. They text and email people when there's severe weather in their area. And in this case last night, they even beat the National Weather Service by a few minutes. Now, our Paris LaBelle continues our team coverage tonight in Grant County, where another tornado touched down.
Families cleaning up from the damage today. This is just one of those homes that was damaged in Grant County. And right here, this actually used to be a garage. The garage is completely gone now, but the car inside survived with just a few scratches on it.
I didn't realize this morning how much damage there was there.
Don Sweet taking in the damage after his sister's house and his rental property right next door were destroyed by one of Monday's tornadoes in central Indiana.
You're looking at big I-beam, oak beams that blew from a barn that was clear out by that silo. It just picked them up and carried them.
Don was at home just about a half a mile away when the tornado touched down. He says he saw the whole thing.
First one I've ever seen. It was pretty weird. It was pretty... You watched the clouds and they were circulating. It was real weird what they were doing, and I wouldn't want to be in one.
The National Weather Service says the EF2 tornado touched down at 8:10 p.m. on the northwestern side of Grant County. The tornado was on the ground for just 6 minutes, but left more than a 4-mile path of destruction, with wind speeds clocking in between 120 and 125 miles per hour.
We watched it from about a half mile away, but I didn't realize it was right over these houses.
On Don's rental property, 2 barns and the home were destroyed. Right next door, he's also helping his sister pick up the pieces.
Her house is wiped clear out.
Don says his sister took cover in her basement, and he says that's what saved her life. And while they pick up the pieces, some things escaping with little damage.
It's pretty weird to see a car that didn't have a dent in it, but laying right next to her house in the garage. The garage blew away. Yeah.
And even though this sign is cracked,
it can be fixed. It can be fixed or replaced. We're pretty lucky.
power crews restoring power out here as families try to put their lives back together. In Grant County, Paris Lubell, RTV6.
And moving on to Miami County now, damage to homes and property was caused by at least an EF2 tornado. Miami County Emergency Management Director Chris Marks said most of the heavy damage was just north of the town of Macy. At least 2 homes were destroyed and multiple trees, power lines, and other buildings were damaged.
The National Weather Service confirms an EF1 tornado hit in Henry County to the east of us. The Emergency Management Director there said the majority of the damage was centered in an area just south of Middletown. Most of the damage was to trees and power lines down, but a few buildings were significantly damaged. Now, for continuing coverage of the aftermath of the storms, updates from emergency officials, and pictures of the damage, you can head to the IndyChannel.com and the RTV6 app.
A couple is under arrest after an investigation determined a 12-year-old boy suffered extreme neglect before he died. Eduardo Paso was brought to Bloomington Hospital early Friday morning and died an hour later from starvation. The sheriff's office says deputies searched a motel room where Eduardo Paso and his family were staying. Investigators found restraints, chains, a canine shock collar, signs of starvation, and footage of Eduardo restrained in a bathtub.
But indications seem to be that this young man, Eduardo, lived a very sad life.
Everybody involved with this case has been very deeply affected and will be affected until the end of our career, let alone the end of our lives. I mean, there's really no words for this type of abuse.
Eduardo's father, Luis Paso, and his stepmother, Diane Flores, have been arrested. 3 other children living with them are now in the care of Child Protective Services. The sheriff says those children appear to be healthy. The couple traveled across the country for work advertising for a circus, so several law enforcement agencies will be involved in the continuing investigation. The coroner has identified the person whose remains were found in a suitcase Monday on the southeast side, 56-year-old Larry Terry, who was reported missing by his aunt in March. She told investigators Terry was diabetic and may have left behind his insulin when he disappeared. Terry's body was found when police were called to investigate a suitcase found by a creek. The cause of Larry Terry's death has not yet been released.
Construction is officially underway on one of 4 Franklin Township intersections that are being turned into roundabouts. The first roundabout project to break ground is at Franklin Road and Edgewood Avenue. Drivers going east or westbound on Edgewood should detour north on Hickory Road or Emerson Avenue to use Thompson Road. Those driving north and southbound should detour east onto Thompson Road or Southport Road to use Hickory Road. This project should wrap up at the end of August, but drivers we spoke to don't seem to mind.
I went to a meeting on it, and they do claim that a roundabout is safer. Sometimes it gets complicated for people to go through it, though.
What do you think of them?
I I like them if they're far apart, but I don't like them when you have two roundabouts in a row like a figure eight. That's where it makes it complicated.
The intersection of Arlington and Edgewood Avenues will close on Monday for the second roundabout project. Still ahead on the news at 6, the tension is building. The pressure is on. How many Indiana spellers remain in the National Spelling Bee?
And as we get set to mark our 70th anniversary in just 2 days, anchor and reporter Dionne Willis shares one of the many stories that she covered that touched her deeply.
Sunny skies at Victory Field tonight, but things are still rough out in right field. It is Bark in the Park night. Indians starting a 6-game homestand. Dave First Live. We'll talk about it coming up.
Sunshine at Victory Field, storms to the north, just like yesterday. Main threat this evening, damaging wind and some large hail. There are warnings northeast Montgomery County and then from Clinton, basically from Frankfort to Kokomo. A deeper look at that coming up.
Rallies and checkers. Fast food is no big deal.
This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
RTV6 is very proud to be celebrating our 70th anniversary this week. We signed on May 30th, 1949.
And to mark this big occasion, we had the chance to talk with many Channel 6 alums about their most vivid memories and stories. Now, you saw Dionne Willis on the air here for 14 years as an anchor, but she was also a reporter who cared deeply about the stories and people that she covered. One that touched her profoundly, the disappearance of a little girl in 1994. Her body found 2 months later.
LaShawna Bates was a little 11-year-old girl. She disappeared on her way to school on a very cold February morning, and they found her body. You couldn't say no to her principal, Phyllis Imel, School 46. And so I covered the whole searching, the work with the police department, work in the community, back in the classroom where her little desk was stayed just as she'd left it. And they kept it empty there, waiting for her with all of her things there, hoping that she would return, which she never did. The beautiful little pigtailed girl. And she was about the age of Min at that time, my older son. And I never could ever forget this little girl who'd had a hard life right from the start, was never allowed to live her life. And so it's stories like that, whether they have to do with education or whether they have to do with just great ordinary people. I mean, I've interviewed presidents and first ladies and it's stars and all of that, but it's the ordinary people and the stories that really matter to me. And I think they have to matter if you're a journalist, because that's what life is. It's the journalism is the rough draft of history, and you need to tell those stories in order to tell the truth about the world and the life that we live.
And you can see Dionne again, along with Clyde Lee, on Thursday as they anchor our 1-hour anniversary special at 7 p.m. 70 years together, RTV6 working for you. We do hope you'll be able to join us for that.
And tonight at 11, a trip back into the RTV6 archives. In 1989, a video rental store had a hard time staying open in Indianapolis. Find out why locals believe there were too many video stores and their predictions about the future of the industry. Today's Spelling Bee wraps up in about 15 minutes at the Scripps National Spelling Bee. Now, Scripps is the parent company of RTV6. 14 Indiana students remain in the competition. That's down from 16. The spellers and their families walked around the Hall of Champions to burn off some energy between rounds today. A total of 452 students will spell tomorrow before the finalists are announced. Only 50 will make it through to Thursday's finals. Kevin.
Well, I was just checking the alarms there. Over 2 inches of rain in portions of Howard County since 4:30. I'll show you the last 24 hours in a second. We had the storms last night. We have storms tonight. More threat tomorrow. I just want to make this perfectly clear. Storm Shield is free All those are without power last night. If you had the Storm Shield app and your phone is charged, you're still getting warnings. You're still getting information free for your iPhone and Android device. You control which alarms will go off for thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, for example, and you can control the radar as well. We'll see this thunderstorm watch expire from west to east between now and 8 o'clock as the storms gradually move to the east within the watch area. There's your one warning. Northern portions of Clinton County into Howard County. That's also where the torrential rain is falling. With the thunderstorm warning itself, we've got 60-mile-per-hour wind potential Crawfordsville to Lebanon, so it's starting to come down into Boone County, and then anywhere from Kokomo down to Tipton along 31. As that dives to the southeast, will impact, looks like, northern portions of Hamilton County as well. Here's your flash flood warning. Rossville over to Burlington, Kokomo, and Greentown. Areas there have had up to 2 inches of rain today. If we look back over the last 24 hours, you're looking at 3 inches in spots and an additional 1 to possibly 2 inches before this rain comes to an end. So I've raised the flooding potential. It's localized, not widespread, but obviously never try to drive across the flooded roadway, and we've got more rain coming tonight. Let's take a look at that. Temperatures in the 70s and 60s where you've had the rain, and it's almost 90 down in Bedford. Overnight, showers and thunderstorms again come in from the northwest. This is at 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. right through the heart of central Indiana. Pockets of heavy rainfall. Isolated severe storms can't be ruled out. Still some lingering thunderstorms at 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock time frame. Temperatures tomorrow in the low 80s. Maybe a slightly cooler because of the thunderstorms and the cloud cover that's expected. It will still be breezy. Temperatures tomorrow afternoon from just 80 into the mid 80s to the south. Thunderstorms obviously have an impact on the ultimate high temperature. Thursday, showers and thunderstorms likely. Let me show you something unique. Friday is dry. Temperature in the 70s. Saturday, 40% chance of thunderstorms, and then odds are with us. We've got a 3-day dry stretch. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Something to look forward to.
Can we just move on to Friday?
I'm with you.
All right, Kevin, thank
there.
you. Well, the Indianapolis Indians begin a new homestand tonight at Victory Field.
First up tonight, Charlotte Sports Director Dave First joins us live there. Hey, Dave.
One of these days, the folks who make TVs and cameras, they're going to invent smell vision, because this is spectacular. You walk in here, hot dogs, hamburgers, barbecue, maybe an adult beverage or two. This is the place to be as the Indians open up a 6-game homestand, 3 against Charlotte tonight. Not tonight, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then the weekend set against Gwinnett. In fact, a busy homestand for the Tribe. Take a look at, there's an event going on each and every night out here. Beginning tonight, Bark in the Park night. Bring your dog out to right field, some 200 or so on hand tonight. Tomorrow, youth clinic for kids 14 and under. Thursday, another Circle City night. Thursday as well. Friday, Colts at bat. That's their annual program. T.Y. Hilton and Billy Hooker are going to be out here. And P.J. Mask all weekend long meet and greets with the Disney Junior Show. The Tribe, Victory Field, the place to be this weekend. Hey, the Indy 500 Victory Tour has only just begun for Simon Pagenaud. Right after the victory celebration last night, Simon flew to New York this morning, opened up NASDAQ. What else are you going to do after getting a check for $2.6 million? And then a stroll down Times Square, still wearing the Borg Warner victory wreath. Tried to go up top of the Empire State Building, but the weather wasn't so good, so he and Norman the dog with a couple of photo ops. But now before lunch with Norman, the pup with a meal of sushi. Good to beat the champ, who's still talking about his favorite moment after the win.
The most memorable thing in the last 48 hours will always be the milk, drinking the milk. This is always going to be my sweetest memory. The silkiest and smoothest milk I'd ever have. Yeah, that was the best milk in the world.
So while Simon enjoys his Indy 500 win, everyone else, they're trying to move on. IndyCar Series race this weekend up the streets of Belle Isle, Detroit, Michigan. It's our Sports Extra Spotlight tonight at 11 o'clock. Big weekend with 2 races, Saturday and Sunday up there. It was a huge weekend for Ryan Hunter-Reay last year, who broke his winless streak. Once again, not a good weekend, though, for Rossi a year ago, who now concentrates on the season championship. How quickly can you turn off May and now concentrate on the rest of the season?
I'm already there. Already been watching videos for Detroit this morning, and my engineer and I have actually been talking about Detroit kind of in this past week because there's such a gap between your kind of Monday practice and Friday carb day. So it was a place that was half kind to us and half brutal to us last year, so definitely want to go back and try and get some redemption and a win there.
I arrived at Indianapolis.
And if that wasn't enough racing, it's still May, by the way. Our friends at ESPN turning the spotlight on Janet Guthrie tonight, part of their award-winning 30 for 30 series. Look back at the controversies and successes as Janet came onto the scene in the mid-'70s, qualified for her first Indy 500 in 1977. 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN.
People would come up to me and say, do you realize what's going on in your wake? And then they would tell me I was a key figure that women were pointing to and saying, look, she can do this.
For a lot of people in this country, the Indianapolis 500 is the only race. When they see that a woman can, in fact, compete at this level of racing, then perhaps that'll help other women who also want to do their own thing.
It's entitled Qualified, a 90-minute documentary tonight. Again, a look back at the woman who broke the gender barrier in racing, the controversies and causes tonight at 8 over on our friends at ESPN. That should be fascinating. Again, Tribe open up a 6-game homestand, 1st of 3 tonight against Charlotte. The boys of summer are back in town, and it kind of feels like summer out here as well. More at 11. Until then, though, the news at 6 continues after this quick timeout.
That's why the bananas look so good at Meijer.
Torrential rainfall. That's the best way to describe this between Frankfort and Tipton, then up into Howard County. Kokomo reporting street flooding in Kokomo itself. There's a flash flood warning as a result of 3 inches of rain through the last 24 hours. Some spots have had 2 inches already today, so the heavy rain will continue for the next hour. Do not try to drive across a flooded road.
Don't do it. All right. That does it for us here on RTV6 News at 6.
And we'll be right back at 7. We'll see you then.